People, merry draft eve. Seahawks are almost on the clock, except, define almost. It's about 21 hours until they make their pick at 16, which are they really going to make their pick? That's stuff we're going to talk about. We tonight have draft rumblings, stuff from the rumor mill, how much stock we put in that. And then we'll have a mock draft as well, and listener questions really welcome tonight as well. I asked you guys for some of them with the thought that maybe I'd go live before Griff came, and I didn't, but there's some good questions in the chat, some of which we're already planning to cover. So there you go. Okay, Griff, do you have a preamble topic? One thing I noticed, the moon is very full here, at least probably not out there yet, but beautiful, big, round, shining, excellent moon.
Good.
How's the moon with you?
We're on good terms.
Nice. Well, that's good. You don't want to get on bad terms with the moon.
No, helps keep me grounded. Actually, no, it doesn't.
No.
It keeps my motion in the ocean, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Earth keeps me grounded.
Okay, this is you're not preambling very well here.
What should we talk about? Have you watched Children of Men yet?
No.
You need to, Maddie. You need to sit down and enjoy.
That Twitter account was tweets out the best openings of movies, and I tagged you in it, ironically. But
watch it.
That opening looks so good.
Clive Owen is great in it. The whole cast is great. Julianne Moore is great.
Maybe after this,
Yeah. Chiwetel Ejiofor is awesome in it. Is it Charlie Hunnam?
Oh, Griff, you've got someone who loves you.
Well, maybe Children of Men just
gets it going.
Yeah. You need to watch that movie.
My Reese's Senior Bowl pen has broken. Very upset.
I'm sorry to hear that. Why did that happen?
It won't go down. Like I can't.
I hate that. I hate when you have a really good pen and then it.
I fixed it.
Up.
I fixed it.
You did?
Yeah.
Good.
Just like that. Okay. Should we do this thing?
Yeah, let's do it. Hit it, Maddie.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where we're on the eve of the 2024 NFL Draft. We're hearing Seahawks rumors. We have Seattle takes. We'll tell you what we want them to do at pick 16 overall. And throughout the draft, expectations, what we're hoping for, how disappointed we're going to end up being, what we think John Schneider will do, all that good stuff. Griff, are you excited? Come on now.
Yeah, I'm excited. Just because so much can happen, I'm excited for that reason. Having pick 16 is fun. I'm a little worried though. I'm worried that Schneider is going to be over worried about not having a second round pick, and that we're entering in untested. Well, not untested, but we're entering into potentially murky waters. I generally trust Schneider when he's drafting in the top 20. His track record is good compared to other GMs.
Very much so.
But then it's been very hit or miss when, he's working out of the bottom third of the first, trading back and stuff. But I still feel like trading back is still the right thing to do. But usually when they're trading back into like the late 20s, right? Mm-hmm. So if with 16 being their starting point, if they can find a partner in the...
Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
When was the last time they picked at 16? I know Bruce Irvin was pick 15, right, in 2012 after, yeah. Is it like what you're saying about the early top 10 stuff being pretty damn good for Schneider, And then the late third stuff being, I mean, it's tough for everyone in the league, but Schneider having some issues there. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce Irvin was a solid pick, right? I don't think he had the sack production maybe to live up to the being a 15th overall selection. Although he did finish the NFL career with I don't know if he's officially retired yet, but 56 and a half sacks.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a bust, but he didn't live up to his potential. I don't think.
Really solid player and filled an important role. But yeah, it's funny what you say about Schneider, and you know, if he's feeling pressed about not having that second round pick, you could see some type of mistake happening, or you know, overdoing it and it being a disaster.
Yeah,
Schneider, past mistakes have come from sort of overcorrecting or trying to make something happen which isn't there, taking a swing. And yeah, it's a really fascinating one, because not only is that aspect, but also I think because Seattle's needs they're obvious, right? In some ways, you would think like left guard, but because that's not technically a premium position, also because there's so many offensive linemen, particularly offensive tackles, who are going to go high, it's genuinely at 16, along with the new regime with Mike Macdonald in town and all of these new coaches, albeit, Schneider's going to draft similar types of characters and play like a Raven, has similarities with the grit stuff Schneider was doing and always compete with Pete Carroll. But I think it's kind of an unknown of what positions they draft just in general, right? I actually don't know what they're going to do. And all we can go off is Mike Macdonald saying we want to be more physical as a team. And all we can go off is, Schneider talking about the character of people and the grit, which really we don't actually know any of these prospects. They'll have been doing a lot of character eval. But yeah, when it comes to the physicality element, we're just looking at physicality and maybe the trenches. I guess that links up with guard again. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Griff?
Well, they're both good terms to use to kind of say something truthful, but that also doesn't give anything away. I mean,
of course,
vapid, physical. Like, yeah, it's a vapid. Every team wants to be physical. What team says no? We want to be finesse.
You want to be soft,
or you want to, yeah, right. Everyone says you want to be both those things, finesse and physical. And then Schneider talking about character and stuff. I mean, there's some things to glean from that. And the obvious is, well, if there's a guy that is really talented and, they have some character flags or whatever the case may be, then maybe you think, okay, we should maybe rule that guy out at least super early on. And that the Jalen Carter case, last year, that kind of makes sense, right? But generally they're saying nothing there. As far as what Schneider seems to value early on in drafts, I mean, he really likes to draft tackle. And as we know, he's willing to take tackles that could have a future at guard as well. And that definitely applies to this draft. At the same time, though, he had that comment about guards being overdrafted. So it's like, if you were to press him on that, and he probably wouldn't give you an answer on air or on the record. If you were to press him about that, it would be, well, what about a tackle that could convert to guard? Would you consider taking them in the top 20? So
right, and when he's taken those tackles who get converted to guard, it's been when there's been a need at tackle, right? To start off with, I don't, with the high picks,
right?
Like I'm thinking like Jermaine Ifedi, and that was back end of the first round, right?
Yeah. So I mean, between Carpenter and Ifedi in the 20s, I mean that definitely screams like if Barton is there. Maybe Fatano if he drops for medical reasons. That screams like tackle.
Well, I was just wondering if those were done. I guess Carpenter was never going to be a tackle, was he?
I want to say his very first year he played right tackle. Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering if those happen because from Schneider's perspective, it's like, okay, they're going to be tackled to start off with. If they hit a tackle, I've got myself a bit of value there. And then if it doesn't quite work or we have a need at guard, they can slot into guard. Why I say all that is it now different that in theory, Abraham Lucas, caveat of the knee cleanup and everything, but now they've got the 2 starting tackles and Charles Cross opposite him, does that line of thinking go out because there's no kind of bonus of attack in the first round in that sense? I don't know. Maybe the thought process doesn't go that far, and you just take the good athlete, the good player.
Right.
Apparently, apparently I need to talk louder. Is that a problem? This has been a comment which we've had. Griff, if you click on your settings, can you see the big settings thing on StreamYard?
Yeah.
Click that, then click audio, then click automatically adjust mic volume.
Yeah, I've got that selected.
Well then. I don't know what to say. If it's a problem, it's a problem.
Maybe
I'll try to StreamYard.
Maybe I'll try to talk quieter, and then everyone can just turn us up.
Yeah, just whisper.
It can be ASMR.
Sookman saying it's good for me. There you go. Thanks, Misfit. Right. Jen, get new ears.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mean that. That was mean.
That was rude.
Yeah,
Matthew.
That was rude. So, rumors.
Okay.
Rumors. Let's get spicy. So, guys, first rumor, Griff. Before we can deal with this one very quickly, right?
Yeah, okay. Sure. Which rumor is that?
Oh, just you wait. This is a great rumor. Look at this, guys.
Oh no.
Oh, you can't even see the bottom bit. Hold on. Let me remove this. This tweet has been deleted.
Oh,
so
no.
This is an image that claims to be from @MySportsUpdate, Ari Merov, saying that Seattle Seahawks plan to unveil new uniforms Thursday evening at the NFL Draft in Detroit. Sources around the league expect that the reveal will occur as their first-round selection will display the team's new home jersey on stage as their selection poses with Commissioner Roger Goodell. Honestly, a neat idea that I'm surprised no team has tried before. Griff, this is photoshopped. It's photoshopped, so that's great. So we don't need to talk about that anymore.
Wait, was it actually photoshopped?
I think so.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
Also, why would Ari? Why would they say a neat idea? That does not read.
He editorializes a little bit. He adds in his own.
Sure, but a neat idea
could be. Now, why did he delete that? Let's pretend for a moment he did tweet it and it's not photoshopped. Why would he delete it? What part of this would be? Is it because maybe he got bad info? Or could it be he implied too much when he said first round selection, implying Seattle isn't going to trade out of the second round?
Oh, wow. You're like in
or trade out of the first round.
Look how upset your dogs are over that.
Yeah.
It's not real. And also Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times reported from the owners' meetings that the Seahawks weren't getting new uniforms. So, for 2024 at least. So it's wrong. It's just wrong. So
all right, it's wrong.
There you go. And see how upset. Which dog is it?
Brady. He's causing
Brady is pissed. So good work there.
He's always ticked off.
Okay, so that's the first rumor address. Now there's a lot of news, actual rumblings, right? Around a certain wide receiver in Seattle, DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
We've been hearing this for a couple of months.
And there are two separate conduits too. But what I can't figure out is if the respective sources are the same or if it's two separate sources giving the same information that will kind of corroborate the legitimacy of it. And when I say legitimacy, I'm not saying the people that have said something to us, they're being distruthful or untruthful. And I'm not saying that their source is untruthful either, even though that could be true. But when you play the source game, right, it turns into a game of telephone. But then is the original source going off of inference, or are they going off of concrete information, or is it a combination of the two? So that's what you can never figure out. but we're not breaking news here or anything, but it seems as though DK Metcalf is a variable. That doesn't mean anything will happen, but he's a variable.
Right.
And something could play out tomorrow. AJ Brown was a draft day trade, I believe.
Yes.
Schneider probably, and then we also have Brett Coleman saying Seattle is going to be very active on day 2. Is going to do intriguing things. He said that on the record.
Yeah, we should dive more into that comment, but obviously for Seattle to be very active in day 2, well, either, they've traded down from the first round and then they're moving in and around of the day 2, could be a thing. Right. Either they're trading future picks, could be a thing if they feel pressed. Or it could be that they net more assets via trading your star wide receiver who you'd only incur, I think it's $1.5 million in dead cap money. So
right. And with that Amon-Ra St. Brown contract, does Schneider want to pony up $30 million per year this time next offseason? I don't know if he wants to do that for a receiver philosophically. The cap is going to be, they have cap flexibility, but he might need to be prepared if, what if Geno pops off with Grubb? What if they figure out the guard situation and they have to pay Geno again somehow? I don't think they can pay 2 guys $30 million a year. I don't think Schneider wants to do that. And then I will say there was another source who told me off the record, someone that is clued in, and this won't come as a surprise. It's not a revelation. But they did say that Seattle is involved in the trade market, but that could mean due diligence, just saying hey, what would this cost, just for the sake of knowing. It could be something they do every single year. If you can totally fathom them exploring trading down, right? This person didn't say moving up or moving down, but that Schneider is trying to get a feel for what the landscape is like. So
which again, he has to do because they're at 16, right, which is a very kind of
on the cusp, right?
Yes.
So again, none of that comes as a revelation, but it kind of crystallizes things that we already could have guessed at,
Right. And, you can read into it as much as you want. You can be like, there's always rumblings about DK Metcalf getting traded, all through last year, the flagship radio stations having it as a topic. They've also had topics on which actually ended up happening, like trading for a defensive tackle. They were kind of talking about that before. You can get real kind of tinfoil hat about it. Anyway, what I think it probably gets borne out of is, for the reasons that you've just outlined, Griff, there's no harm in them actually kind of just putting out feelers of, hey, what could we get for DK Metcalf? Whereas certain players, a good example would be Charles Cross, right? A rookie entering the 3rd year of his rookie contract, left tackle. You're not going to try and explore trading. But DK Metcalf, there's a way of doing it where you can call people up and just have a conversation and just gauge what the value is. And maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But just because it doesn't happen doesn't mean that this didn't happen. Doesn't mean that there wasn't some chatter. But I think that's probably where the noise comes from.
And we have to remember too, to your point about just because it doesn't happen doesn't mean there wasn't real things going on there. Right before the Wilson trade happened, I think wasn't Pelissaro, it was that the other ESPN reporter. What's that guy's name? He tweeted that they were going to that Tyler Lockett was on the trade market, and then literally hours later the Wilson trade happened. So either they had maybe that he was part of the trade possibility, but it just goes to show that Schneider is way more willing to deal in hypotheticals with other GMs than I think we realize. But Seattle is notorious at not letting things leak. And when anything leaks out of Seattle through official conduits, it's usually going to be agent side. But so I that further Lockett being involved, I think further speaks to Schneider seeing his receiving room as doubling as a assets to liquidate. So not that you should view human beings as assets, but just that's where he sees value in trying to ref capital. I don't know.
And just adding to this, national reporter Ben Solak, who's been on the show, he said on the Ringer's Extra Point Taken podcast that that he'd heard rumors about something between DK Metcalf and Geno Smith, which that sounds interesting, and that a trade is at the very least a possibility. This was in a segment where they were giving bold predictions, and his was that one of 3 players gets traded on draft night between Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf, or Daniel Jones. So
very interesting.
There you go. So something to monitor. If DK Metcalf were to be traded, that would be kind of another signifier to me, just another one. And again, it's kind of a reason that it shouldn't be too surprising, even though it would be. But that this year is not the year. Like, if you're going to do that when you've got Geno Smith, 33 years old, as your quarterback, it's really clear that 2024 is kind of that bridge year to 2025, right?
Yeah. I don't want to see DK traded. I want them to go all in on offense, shore up the guard position, bank on healthy tackle play, and take advantage of having 3 stud receivers on your team, because you only get one more year of that. So see what the limits are.
Yeah.
There's so much reason to be incredibly optimistic if the O-line play is at least 20th in the league, as far as what Geno and the receivers could do, and Grub, of course. So
yeah.
I'm not in favor of it. But
now to that point of kind of roster building and philosophy, right? One topic I think we should engage with is linebacker, right? We think that linebacker is a weak point after losing Jordan Brooks, and that Mike, linebacker in particular, with Tyrell Dodson as your projected starter, is a weakness. However, I think you can say that the linebacker position is close to being the level that it was last year from a coverage perspective, because and I hate having to keep saying stuff like this, but Bobby Wagner couldn't really cover in a way that was dynamic. Like he executed his assignment fine, he dropped to his area, but he was a limitation on the coverage, as we spoke about ad nauseum. And so this year, just having a Mike who can actually move around, and if you can coach him up, I think that's is an upgrade, right? Even if it's not Jordan Brooks, which is sad. And then you add in Baker, who's fine. I think the floor maybe of what you can do coverage wise has improved. However, the ceiling without Brooks there has lessened. But what do you think of that, Griff?
Well, I would say generally speaking, I think Dodson is probably a little bit better than Wagner in coverage, but I mean, he still limits you the same schematically. It's just within those limits.
Do you think?
He just has more speed. I don't think Dodson, I mean, he was the 5th linebacker for the Bills. When they traded Edmonds, Milano got hurt. They played 2 other guys ahead of him. And then in dropback situations, they aligned him to the flat so that he was the flat defender, which is pretty low difficulty. And then against play action, when you can't really hide a linebacker, he was just awful. He's terrible. He just bites on play action every time. A run defense, I mean, Bobby's run defense was fine last year, but then his weaknesses were revealed when Nwosu went out. There was a crisis of edge play, and he didn't have the speed to overcome that. So what made him good against the run was no longer being able to be accessed. Dodson, if the edge play were to break down again and Dodson's the starting Mike, he wouldn't be a problem like Bobby became a problem. With Nwosu, Bobby wasn't a problem. Without Nwosu, Bobby was a problem. But I don't think Dodson would be a problem without Nwosu in that hypothetical to try to compare oranges to oranges. But coverage-wise, I mean, he's not expanding your playbook with relative to Bobby. So in the aggregate, I mean, I kind of see Dodson and Wagner as kind of a wash. And then I see Baker, who I agree is a solid player, but I think he's a downgrade from Brooks. So aggregate, I think they're actually worse at linebacker right now than they were last year. But I don't
still
think
think the floor has improved coverage-wise. That's my belief.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. I still don't think, though, I'm not too worried about it because I don't think Macdonald actually is intending to start Dodson at Mike.
Well, here's the thing, Griff, right? That brings me nicely to my next kind of point on linebackers. While we may think, oh, they could really do with drafting a linebacker, what if their feeling on the linebackers is that they're fine and they don't need to force a linebacker, and the linebackers come off the board and they're like, well, this guy isn't really for us, and they don't draft the linebacker, and they're like, these linebackers are absolutely fine for this year of the defense. Is that not a possibility? Because I don't know if they think linebackers as much of a need as we do.
I'd be pretty concerned about what they're like. I'd be concerned. I don't know if I'd be concerned about their scouting, or would I be concerned about what Macdonald thinks I mean, I'm not going to question what Mike Macdonald thinks about his own defense, of course, but that's what we do here, right? All of us fans, we judge the team, we judge the decisions they make. We want them to do things, we don't want them to do things, and they do the opposite of each of those two things all the time. I just, from judging what happened at Baltimore, I mean, Dodson is like AJ Klein basically, and they traded AJ Klein to the Bears in a draft pick for Roquan Smith. They had Josh Bynes in there, the assistant linebacker. They were cycling him in and out, and just they couldn't scheme the way they wanted to. So I think Macdonald wants an absolute stud at Mike. If they don't draft someone, I would honestly bet on them trying to trade for somebody and dipping into their 2025 draft capital. Well,
this is the thing. What if they're like, nah, none of these linebackers, and they're getting an undrafted free agent maybe to push Patrick O'Connell, and then what if they execute a trade? Because remember, obviously, Roquan Smith acquired via trade. It's just something that I'm intrigued by. If you look at the free agent linebackers like coming up in 2025, there's nothing which pops. None of them look appealing. I mean, I'd have to watch some of them, but I don't think. Yeah, none of these names stand out. I mean, Willie Gay's a free agent next year, but they clearly decided not to pay him this year. So,
right.
Interesting, but yeah, I don't know. I just think the front office's eval of linebackers compared to ours has differed. So,
right, I could see them surprisingly neglecting safety until day 3, and them addressing linebacker. Because I do feel better about them getting by with the safeties on the roster right now than I do with them getting by with the linebackers on the roster right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Same.
I don't know what Colson's ceiling is, but he would make me feel so much better about the overall health of the interior 5 of the back 7. The linebackers, nickel, and the 2 safeties. I mean, the presence of Colson would make me feel a lot better about Jenkins and Love. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Unless you wanted to take it to another area, what do you think about them going corner in the first?
Well, that's where I wanted to take it.
All right.
So Albert Breer talking. I don't know where he was talking actually. Maybe he was writing. Anyway, he confirmed that the Seahawks have Iowa corner / safety, depending how you view him. Cooper. Do you guys say Cooper DeJean?
Cooper DeJean Reno.
Right. Cooper Dijon Mustard. Anyway, they have him on their radar, is what Bria said.
Yeah. And of course, we know that they brought him in for a visit too, right?
Right. And then also, whose mock was it? Peter Schrager mocked.
Schrager's clued in. I mean, he's all sources. He's not thinking originally. He's tapping into what he's hearing and trying to piece it together.
Right.
Like that's what guides his mock drafts. And he's been right about the Seahawks before.
And he mocked Terrion Arnold, the Alabama cornerback, to the Seattle Seahawks.
Right. And he has nickel versatility as well, right?
Right. And
so
Alabama runs a ton of coverage, and coverage like that would be the type of guy who smart, loves football, which is something that Mike Macdonald mentioned in his UW clinic that, hey, UW, virtual access, please. But John P. Boyle wrote a good article at Seahawks.com on, and you'd presume Terrion Arnold, if they were to draft him, would be this guy who loves football and is all about it. He didn't test, like, he didn't run the fastest 40, but he had a 6.69 second 3-cone 37-inch vert. And he's a guy who can move around, and he's kind of, I guess because Alabama didn't have a great defense and that Arnold's only a sophomore. I say not a great defense. They didn't go to the national championship and dominate everyone. They still had a pretty good defense. But he kind of gets overlooked slightly.
Yeah, true.
Like, I haven't even made my way to his. He's literally who I'm going to be watching after.
I mean, I've only seen the clips that have hit the timeline, and it's like awesome talent. It makes you wonder. I mean, so between Arnold, the Arnold smoke from Schrager,
and Daniel Jeremiah also had the Seahawks taking Arnold.
Okay, so between that and then the Dijon smoke, it's definitely they are looking at corner and the corner with nickel versatility. Like, that definitely seems to be a thing for them. They're probably, if I had to guess, they're probably out on D-line in the first, with Murphy seemingly going to go before 16, and then Jerzon Newton having the foot injury. And his general stock seems to be down. I don't know why.
I think his stock is down because the foot injury, and then, not doing the testing, and then we don't know anything about the foot injury, but if he falls past 20, then you'd have to think that the medicals aren't good. Or maybe there's something else. I mean, quote tweeting me on Twitter back in January about mirror stepping. Maybe that's the wrong side of competitive, maybe. Or maybe it's the right side, but I don't know. But there could be anything.
Yeah. So and then also we know how in the past when Schneider's traded a draft pick for a player, he says that he puts the player's name on the draft board in the vacant spot of the pick they don't have. So with them having just tied up all that money in Leonard Williams, are they looking at the second round and just putting Leonard Williams there and thinking we don't need to invest interior defensive line early because we already did that with our second round pick? Is that the mind game, the mental gymnastics Schneider will do? And then also just like interior defensive line is not the biggest need on the team. That's something we've always known. That doesn't mean there isn't room for an impact player. There's still room for one 500 to 700 snap player if they want. It's just not the most important thing, and they might prioritize going corner. And corner on its face doesn't feel like the most important thing either. But with Devin Witherspoon essentially playing two positions, if you can draft another guy that can play both positions, that means within your nickel snaps, which might be as high as 80% of their snaps, you'll never not have either Devin or Terrion Arnold or DeJean at left corner or nickel, and vice versa.
It was 79% of their snaps last year, Griff, and it's super important that they have a guy who can do that. Being able to play matchups would be good, and we've spoke about maybe how the safety group's slightly underwhelming. Like, they don't have a Kyle Hamilton in their safety group, so, get more of a corner/nickel type rather than a safety/nickel type. And so Arnold I need to watch more of, but there's the whole discussion with Dijon of whether he's a safety or a corner. And so one thing I can kind of offer on that is the discussion over him being a safety is perceived from some people over stiff hips. Is that correct?
Yeah. That does seem to be the thing. Change the direction, but
so let's get the pen out, right? So this is the receiver, okay, and this is the corner, right? The only time I've seen what I think people are seeing as stiff hips from Dijon, right, is when QB's over here, okay, is when he's using press coverage technique, right? But the only reason, right, hold on. Firstly, unfortunately, there's not many press reps on the Iowa tape. So we're talking a very limited sample size. And times he did use it was against Iowa State and against Penn State. And what do Iowa State and Penn State do? Well, they align the receiver like this, and here's a super bloody wide split, and then here's Dijon taking away the inside. Now, Corey, if we're pronouncing it wrong, then you had your chance to tell us. It's too late now. So, what technique Dijon uses is an inch off press technique. So the idea being that the receiver does his release, right, his dancing, and all you're doing is you're doing a foot fire off the line of scrimmage to reset the line of scrimmage, so you're still in front of him, and he's done his release or his movement, and then, because you're still in front of him, then that's when the route can develop. So you're just foot firing off the line backwards. The receiver then has to run back to you, and you're still in phase, still square, still in front of him. Now, inch-off technique is a valid technique, especially in college, right? Because by the time he's done all of this, you've inched off, right? You're still here, you're square, you're waiting for him. If he's going to run the fade, which is going to be an outside release like that, you've taken away the inside. You can't slide out. You just have to turn and run and play in the low hip position. And this is in the inch off technique. But what that looks like is because your path isn't like step or step and then slide out laterally to then transition to turn and run, because you're inching off the line, you're then having to literally fully flip and turn while he's stepped and then run down the field. So there isn't a slide, like a lateral step to cut him off as you transition to turn and run. You are literally inching off and then flipping your hips all the way around to turn and run. Any player who is trying to transition like that to the outside fade route is going to look a bit stiff, because you're literally having to completely turn your body without the kind of gradual opening of the hip, the slide to then go down the field. So, yeah, Greg Cosell saying his turn is segmented, Misfit. Yeah, it's segmented because he's inched off, right? Now he's waiting for what the receiver's going to do. The receiver's outside release, so then he turns, right, and runs down the field to the low shoulder. Why can he do that? Because the sideline's only there. So he's already to the field, so he knows is back shoulder or turn and run with the fade, which, by the way, it takes ages to throw the ball. So the only reason his turn is segmented and the hips and all of this stuff, right, is almost fall off my chair, is because he's using a inch off press technique. That's the only thing. And whether that works in the NFL, I don't recall many corners who use inch off as their primary press technique.
That's gold right there for Matty, guys.
Because you can't lateral slide to cut people off very easily if you're doing that. You'd have to catch them to then do that, and catch at 2 yards is insane.
Guys, Matty, you just witnessed Matty in coach mode. That's like when he's coaching his players. Also, Matty, to like further your point, when he's actually in the slot where you can't hide not having hips. I mean, his change of direction's awesome in the slot,
dude. When he's like 10 yards off and he's driving on a dig route.
Or wow. Even in press man or two man trail, like you can totally see the feet and the hips. He has way more lateral movement than a lot of starting corners right now.
My only concern with him is level of comp, right? So the best team I've seen him against is Penn State, and I think he was hurt. I think he broke his leg for. Is he the broken leg guy? But I think he broke his leg for. Did they play Ohio State were they in the championship? I don't know. Basically, the one good offense they faced with good receivers, he was hurt for. And then obviously hasn't been at the All-Star games or anything because he's hurt. So I've seen him against Penn State, which also offense spacing. Yeah, they have guys who can fly, but offense spacing. Iowa State, just crap. Well, not NFL receivers. Let's not call them crap. But also, Iowa's scheme is a lot of zone, right? So there's even not many press man reps anyway. And so he looks really good in zone, really good at processing stuff, like one short, overlapping two up the seam, mid-pointing really well, really comfortable pedaling off and then transitioning with butt to the sideline. Just a really fluid mover. One thing was like deep out routes, transitioning to burst on them. I'm not sure about like his click and close, driving to like the intermediate route tree. But you know, you like to see it, and then you have to check out the broken leg as well. It would be quite I think risky is the wrong word. At 16, I'd be like, oof, that's I'm interested to see it, but I'm glad I'm not the GM who's had to do that or made that decision for the reasons I've just outlined. Like, it's just such a difficult eval.
Yeah.
You just got to sort of translate the very limited reps that you've seen with the context I've just mentioned, and then you go, hang on a sec, this guy's like he can play corner.
Right. And it's when people say the Kyle Hamilton role, and if they do draft Cooper DeJean, if they do end up drafting him, people are immediately going to go, okay, well, Kyle Hamilton role. But the Kyle Hamilton role is he's a safety who also plays nickel in that scheme.
Yeah, he was the strong safety in base.
Right. So and then also sometimes he's playing strong safety and nickel as well. And they have one of their other nickel corners in there, but then it's like a different call. It's like out of different structures. It's more like pure pass down stuff. But anyway, when they draft DeJean or DeJohn, whatever, and Arnold, or if they draft any one of those two guys, I mean, they're not necessarily being moved to safety. They're just playing zone nickel early down, 1st and 10 nickel out of their 4-2-5 look, and then they could also be playing corner, swapping in and out with Devin. So it's not necessarily like an entire conversion, and there's nothing about Cooper's skill set that wouldn't make him in time a good zone nickel. I mean, if Devin did it, and he didn't do that stuff in college, if Devin Witherspoon could do it, I don't see why.
Well, and also just the way he processes zone routes really impressed me. I've already mentioned it, but I think he definitely has the skill set for that. I'm excited to watch Arnold because obviously Alabama's defense, they run all types of coverage and different checks and tools. Macdonald carries similar checks, especially to his quarters stuff. So Arnold should be well versed in that. You say he played nickel for them? He played a bit of the star?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I believe so.
Interesting. So yeah, corner, yeah, they have to be prepared for a lot of eventualities. It kind of makes sense to me that corner is maybe what they settle on after a small trade down.
Yeah.
Because like, what if Barton's gone and then it's Jackson Powers Johnson or like one of the corners? You know, I don't know if Jackson Powers Johnson, like, you know, cool player, but I don't know if he's what they're looking for.
Yeah, and then are they just going guard day 2 then? I don't know. I have a strong feeling where the draft could go well, but not how we think it would go. But like,
whoa, no way.
Yeah. I don't think the more I think about it, the more I don't think they're touching D-line in the first. It definitely feels like corner or tackle.
After the Leonard Williams, like, big splash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is DeJean physical? DeJean physical?
Yes. He can tackle.
Yeah, he can tackle. Interesting. Okay. Well, Chad,
Matty,
any questions?
We should talk quarterback a little bit.
Well, before that, we should also mention that medical-wise, Albert Breer reported that Troy Fatanu had a might slide with his medical. Griff, can you speak any more on that? Or
the idea just seems to be how far he'll slip will depend on like what each team thinks the long-term implications are.
Right, because it's a knee thing.
Yeah, so I think he included in the article that his football character suggests that he'll be diligent about rehabbing and prehabbing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sukman, I'm sorry, but if Rattler's there in the third, I say we need to go for it.
This is the stupid thing about what we're doing. Spencer Rattler, if you met with him and he ticked all your character assessments and you were confident you could coach him, then in the third, yeah, let's definitely do that.
Yeah.
The Senior Bowl MVP, Griff.
That's right. I mean, he looked good in the clips when we were watching the defensive players.
Right, like Daniel Jones was the Senior Bowl MVP.
Well, maybe that doesn't speak too well. Matty, what would your reaction be if they took him in the second round? If Spencer Rattler is drafted in the second round, what would your initial reaction be?
Truly, I would be slightly sad because it would just signify again that this year is like it's
just kind of weird, right?
It's a weird year where it would suggest that I feel they could have done more with Geno Smith as a quarterback than what they did this year.
Agreed. Yeah, that would be weird for me.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you. It would be weird for me if they did that.
Yeah, and also Rattler in the second it would create a lot of there'd be a narrative, wouldn't there? Like, when do we get to see what Spencer Rattler looks like?
Right. And he'll probably look good in preseason. I don't think he could beat Geno in a camp battle, though. I think it'd be really difficult for any rookie quarterback to beat Geno in a straight up camp battle, just because he's so good at the procedural aspects of quarterbacking. He would just be way far ahead.
Yeah.
If you were to get
assignments.
Right. If you were to get outright supplanted, it would just be because of overwhelming talent differences. But even then, Geno's talent is still enough that, combined with the other stuff that I just mentioned, I don't think any drafted quarterback that they can realistically get is pushing Geno in 2024. So I don't know.
You heard it here first.
I think Schneider really wants to take a quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. The man's itching to do it. He's been held back. He's been told, no, John, not now. Don't force this guy into a position where he'll fail. But this is his moment. He's desperate for it.
It's funny. I watched Rattler. I watched some of his Oklahoma games recently. I watched his South Carolina games, and he is so fundamentally better than he was at Oklahoma. I mean, he's honest.
Maybe the light bulb came on. Maybe it all clicked. Maybe it was like, hey, I need to start playing football and stop doing other things.
Yeah. Honestly, Rattler is a stud in the pocket. I mean, his pocket work might actually be the best in the class. And then his arm is probably the third best arm after Caleb and May in just terms of overall. I don't know, man. I don't know.
So it sounds like if Seattle roster was in a better position, would you take him in the second? That's not how it should work, but
if there are no locker room concerns, then I think he's a first round talent. So yeah, I would take him in the second, even being a pro Geno guy. I mean, I think taking him in the second would be defensible. I'm not saying I want to go out of my way to take him in the second. I mean,
he does turn 24 in September.
So does a lot of the other quarterback prospects, except for May and Caleb.
No, yeah, don't. I'm just. You don't need to point out other people. I'm just saying.
No, that's a fair point.
Right. Time for a draft. Chat, if you have questions, please do ask them. I just want to make sure we've hit on every single one of them from earlier. But yeah, get your questions into the chat. It's draft eve, so now's the time. Right, Griff, shall we use our usual site?
Yes, let's do it.
No free ads. I've realised we're both wearing North Face apparel, so we're not doing very well there. If you want to get in touch, then please do. Right. Here we go. Now, first of all, is this us trying to be realistic, Griff?
No.
Okay. So for the audio consumer of the podcast, we have an offer from the Colts of pick 29, pick 46, and a future fifth. We have an offer from the Falcons of pick 43, pick 74, pick 79, and a future second. And on the board, we have Brock Bowers, Tylese Fuaga, Kenyon Mitchell, Amarius Mims, JC Latham, Brian Thomas Jr., Johnny Newton, Byron Murphy II, Chop Robinson, Cooper DeJean, Graham Barton.
That's crazy. Would you take that trade back with the Colts?
Maybe Fuaga as a left guard would be fun.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Like, what is again? We've heard a lot from John Schneider, but we haven't actually heard much. But he kind of said how what they look for in linemen hasn't. He just, when he was asked about it, he just went immediately way to the past. Talked about the Alex Gibbs system that Carroll brought in when he arrived, and how they went for like zone blockers who are agile, could get out in space, and then they went a bit too far, got a bit too light, and then they went for a bit more stout stuff, and coaches changed and all that type of things. But yeah, I'm interested. Like, Grubb's run game is pretty diverse, isn't it? Like, the bread and butter is it's not wide zone, is it? It's like,
yeah, it's mid zone. I mean,
mid and duo. I mean, Fuaga's great at like zone tracks, isn't he? So
yeah, I mean, I'd be happy with Fuaga at 16.
Should we do that this time?
Yeah, let's do it. That materializes in real life, I'll be happy.
Go Beavers. It's such a long way. It's just, it would be insane for them not to move in and around, right? Every time we do this, going from 16 to 81, just waiting like that is just nuts. Jacob, is the ESPN Analytics mock draft simulator good? It would be nice to have a different board. Maybe we should try that, Griff.
Yeah, we could. We could do it for this one.
At 81, we have Junior Colson, Brandon Dorlus, who we watched more of, and chat. Do you remember where you were when I talked Griff off of Dorlus? The tape talked you off of Dorlus. Cole Bishop, yes. Chris Abenstrain, Jatavion Sanders, Mason Smith.
I feel like Colson in the third would be a huge win. Do you?
Yeah, it would be, right.
Yeah.
Well, should we do that then?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks, Jacob. We'll check that out. Right, so we've taken Fuaga, Colson, and then pick 102 in the fourth round. We have Spencer Rattler, Griff.
I would take him in the fourth.
You have a first round grade on him, so.
True. Now, what about on defense? Is there a safety that you want?
Well, Mustafa, I still need the Wake Forest All-22. Like, please, someone. But there was a cut-up of him, and he looks intriguing as a kind of quarters-type safety. However, I don't know if he's the type you want playing in the... I think you want him... I don't think you want him as the curl type player. I don't think you want him in over a slot, like 5 yards off, apex type player.
Yeah.
I think he's basically adding to your boundary quarter type, boundary seam defenders safety group. So you'd just be adding another type of player like that.
Right.
Although he is the only safety, Mustafa, the only safety who tackles the near hip. I don't know why it's disappeared, but he strikes the near hip and tracks the near hip and runs through the near hip. Like, Bishop's tackling is just atrocious. Like, the more I think about it, the more it kind of turns me off him completely. As much as, you know, when we did the safety episode, which RIP, it's blocked, but you can watch it on Twitter. But Bishop just overrunning and putting his head in front and just over pursuing constantly as his way of tackling. And then the rest of the guys, I guess Bullard's tackling was okay, isn't it? Like, I didn't have anything really to note. It was pretty solid.
Yeah, I thought it was solid.
Mustafa hits people, and it's like textbook pursuit angles.
Yeah,
really, really savvy. Now, some of that is coaching, but like having that on the tape is obviously nice. You need to know if you can do it. And as Aaron Heinlein mentioned, you need to be able to run, hit, cover, tackle on defense, and it hasn't really changed that much. And again, it's a way of kind of answering a question with an obvious statement, but hearing him say that and then watching Mustafa immediately kind of after the cut up, I was like, okay, I get it. But we've already taken him before. Other safety names here, Griff, none of these guys stand out to me much.
No. Agreed. I think there will be safeties in round 4, though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for instance, and I don't like the idea, but I'd be shocked if Dajion Taylor-Demerson goes in the 3rd round. He went 84 in this mock to the Steelers. Not to just hate on a particular guy, but he just looks, from what I saw, he was just so raw. Now, I get the athleticism and the ability to run, but he's very light, and so if he's very light and he can run, well, yeah, you play him in the post, fine. But in the post, he just is, he needs a lot of work, which that's okay. But 3rd round doing that, I don't know about that. Come on, Griff. Why are you so scared to take Rattler?
I'm not scared. Do it.
You sure?
That means they're out on safeties, but yeah, I think with Coulson in there, you can go light at safety if you want.
You know, I was watching Pete Carroll's YouTube channel, thanks to Twitter user Hustle Chilson for reminding me that existed. And Pete Carroll did a vlog before I think it was the 2012. Actually, this one might have been before the 2010 one. And he said, hey, now's the time to say, if you're scared, you're scared. Right, let's take Rattler.
All right, then.
A new era.
Oh, Mustafa's still there.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Hey, we're drafting.
We're drafting now.
We're drafting. Oh. Can we take Marshawn Lloyd?
I was going to say.
Yes.
Christian Boyd is there too. Interesting. All right. Do what you want.
Can we take Marshawn Lloyd?
Take him.
Can we? Can we, John? Yes. So have you watched Marshawn Lloyd, Griff?
I'm familiar with him. Yeah, I haven't scouted him, but
5'8", 220 pounds. His pad level is crazy because he's 5'8", but he just bounces off people. I don't know much about his vision or anything, but he's a punishing runner. Let's do it. Do we? I guess Seattle running back may not be obvious, but Seattle did lose DJ Dallas. Obviously, they have Kenny McIntosh, who I know is a fan favorite after his draft call, but he'll be working his way up, won't he? Kenneth Walker, Rashad Penny had a workout of the team, but yeah, let's do Marshawn Lloyd.
Let's do it. Christian Boyd is still there.
Yeah, and obviously right now we've taken Talise Fuaga, Junior Colson, Spencer Rattler, Malik Mustafa, Marshawn Lloyd, who Corey pointing out in the chat, Thomas Rules-esque. Yeah, I almost mentioned Rules. Yeah, sure. So we kind of need that now. Christian Boyd, he's like a pure nose, right, Griff?
Yeah,
Out of Northern Iowa.
With the real bull rush, though.
And didn't he cause someone problems? Was it? It was one of the good guards, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
I think you said that Northern Iowa, someone had problems against them.
Was it BB?
Who?
Was it BB?
Yeah, it might have been BB. I don't know. Anyway, so
I watched so many guys this year, I can't remember enough.
Right. The thinking behind a pure nose is it would free up Jaron Reed to play more like big end type and just 3-tech as well. And it would push Cam Young. You just get another kind of big guy on the interior to be an early down guy, add to your rotation. They had a lack of size last year on the interior. They had only one over 300-pound player, if I recall correctly. Then they added, obviously, Leonard Williams. Boyd would also say Mike Morris, hey, Mike, you can go be like the big edge. You can play outside back a bit more. So you're doing that?
Yeah, I would think either Boyd or tight ends. Let's go Boyd here and see what's left at tight end.
Have you watched Eric? Is it Ali? Or is it all?
I think it's all.
It is all. Okay. Yeah. People like him. He just got hurt a lot.
Interesting.
Misfits. 3 nose tackles, question mark. It would just mean that Jaron Reed's a 3-tech again. /4i. So now you would be thinking tight end, right?
Yeah.
Who stands out to you from the tight ends?
Probably McCollin. Maybe Westover, but
McCullen Castles. Tell me about McCullen.
He is athletic, and he's in a scheme that you got to be fast to play in.
But can he run block?
No.
So why are we taking him?
Yeah, good point. But I think it's just potential 7th round, you know?
Right. When it comes to tight end just in this draft, I'm kind of assuming that if they do it, it will be that classic Y inline type, which Seattle obviously lost with Will Dissly's departure. I see people in the chat mentioning Jack Westover. Well, Westover's a move type. Like, they moved him around a lot. Maybe he'll arrive as an undrafted free agent, but with Noah Fant on the roster right now, he's going to be a move type. You don't want to keep him in line too much. I think Grubb will enjoy trying to move him around, get him good matchups, prevent him getting pressed, which he had issues with, and use him in the run game off those kind of wrinkles as well. But to complement that, you need an inline type blocker because Grubb obviously really likes that type of usage as well. Devin Culp, Westover's teammate, tested really well, didn't he? Despite very limited college production, but and he was, I think, more inline. But yeah, I don't know any of these. I'm kind of just assuming in the draft Schneider will just find like a guy out of the Big Ten who lines up inline, has some good run blocking stuff. But right now, in the 7th round, we don't have that option, really.
Right.
Anything else, Griff?
I don't know. We didn't go corner.
We could take Brian Watts.
Yeah.
Long, big, try and convert him. He already had some corner reps. Should we do that?
Yeah, sure.
All right, chat, what I want you to do is rate our mock out of 10. 10 being high. But it's very important to me that 5 is average. Okay? So, what would you rate this mock out of 10?
I'd give this a 7.
A 7? That's quite... Oh, we got a few 7s in the chat.
I think getting Fuaga and Colson are huge wins.
Whoa, Reflect the Sun. What's that about? Reflect the Sun. Come on now. You're going to have to explain one. You can't just put one terrible. There needs to be reasoning.
I think Fuaga and Colson are huge wins. Then Rattler's like a fun bonus. Mustafa's a great 4th-round pick. And then you've got some potential day 3.
Yeah, we have the usual people in the chat saying that it's not realistic. Don't forget, people do fall in the draft, and the NFL generally undervalues linebackers, and when Colson hasn't tested and he's got this injury, you just don't know. However, it would be crazy to me if he does go in 81. I do agree.
Yeah.
Oh, Reflect the Sun saying, I'm sorry, I saw Fuaga get beat multiple times versus UW. Well, Reflect the Sun, Fuaga, that's why we are converting him to guard, because as a tackle, he struggled on the corner, didn't he? He played kind of short and gave up kind of inside moves. And so, yeah, playing him guard. Right. Should we try and do the ESPN one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, hold on. Let's
let's speed run it if we can.
Yes, none of this chatting. While I'm loading it up, Griff, what did Brett Coleman say about day 2? Because we didn't actually fully cover that.
He said that based off of what he's hearing, Seattle could be dipping into day 2 heavily. So obviously that means how are they going to do that without trading back and or trading a player for picks? It's 3-4 now different sources kind of all hinting at something. And again, it's not like common sense wouldn't make you think that Schneider's looking to trade back because he loves trading back. But I don't know. Realistically, I don't think they can get a second round pick and a 1st-round pick from 16. I feel like it's going to be a trade back into the 20s and an additional day 3 pick. So I don't see how having 2 3rd-round picks is enough to satisfy what Coleman is saying. I feel like there have to be more involved.
Yeah, it was interesting him saying that Seahawks fans might not like what they're going to do. Like, is that quarterback? Is that
or could it be the trading completely out of the 1st round and picking up 2 2nd-round picks like that one theoretical proposal?
I could see that. And
Commanders.
And again, we're inevitably the day before the draft. We're inevitably repeating ourselves somewhat, but it could be that. Where was I going with that? I've completely been distracted by Griff looking after his dogs. Where was I going with that, Griff? It could be them trading out.
Miles.
Oh, it's very annoying that at 16 you could get a really good player because the quarterbacks are going to go in the 1st round. Like in this mock, we've got the first 3 picks are QBs, and there's 4 QBs in total before Seattle picks, which means, as Schneider said, you get 15 to 20 1st-round grades in a draft. At 16, you're going to get one of these 1st-round grades available to you still. To pass that up is annoying. Anyway.
Yeah, we also have to be prepared for them doing something like drafting Ulofoshio in the 3rd round or 2nd round. Same with Trevin Wallace. Just because, we've said our opinions about them, but I could still see them rating them higher than we do.
Yep.
But
right. Should we make a pick then?
Yep, let's do it.
Wow. So we're now using the ESPN Analytics Draft Simulator, and we have Fashanu as an option, which you could see a team trying to trade up for him, right?
Right.
His pass protection skills. I know there is a thought that the league is lower on him than some of the draft experts, but his pass pro is unreal. We were saying last year how we thought he'd be a top 5 pick, but then there's so many good tackles this year. So Graham Barton, that's an interesting option. We've done that before, but we really like the theory behind that. Like, just play him left guard and hope it works.
Yeah.
I
mean, that would be a lot of talent on the left side of the line between Cross and Barton.
Right. Latu is still available. Now, he's another player who may fall, right, because of his injury history.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Griff. Well, we want to speed run it, so come on.
All right. Give me Barton.
Oh, come on, ESPN. Oh, I think it's done it. Has it frozen?
Freeze.
Come on. What's this? It's connecting to the UK.
Beautiful.
This is great, isn't it? Okay, there we go. I guess it's because it's in light speed. Okay, so now we have Tavondre... 81, we have Tavondre Sweat, Cedric Gray, Brandon Dorlus, Cole Bishop, Trey Benson, Cam Hart, Jatavion Sanders, Marshawn Lloyd, Makai Wingo. Oof, this is...
Poke.
You like Poke, right?
Yeah, I do like him. He's a great player.
Feels like a luxury we can't afford.
Right.
As Seahawks front office people. I
think they would think Cedric Gray here.
Right. So talk me through Cedric Gray again, because I just didn't see it at the Senior Bowl.
He has a good density. He's twitchy. I think he's fairly fast. What did he run, like a 4.5?
Yeah.
He can hit. He has a foundation in coverage. It just needs to be coached up. But it's like traits. The traits are there,
right?
And the skills are there too. I could definitely. I mean, he reminds me a little bit of Patrick Queen, honestly, the good version of Queen.
Interesting.
Or rather, he reminds me of Queen coming out of LSU, who I thought was a good player. So
okay, maybe I have to watch some UNC defense then.
I do think that his teammate that played Mike was better than him, though, as a college player, not necessarily a better prospect.
Right, just more polished, yeah.
Yeah.
So Misfit and Reflect the Sun were advocating picking Tavondre Sweat. I think we spoke about him before live, maybe not, but really just think he's very, very raw technically. He's he plays so high, and I think in the NFL, just being big isn't going to be enough. So
yeah,
I just don't love the idea of that. Watch him at the Senior Bowl; he really struggles.
So, okay, would you go Gray or Bishop?
Well, where we were before.
No, like right here at 102.
What do you mean?
Wait. Who did you end up? Did we choose yet?
We picked Gray, and now we're at pick 102.
Oh, my bad. I'm an idiot. So Bishop's gone. I don't know. What are you doing here?
So right now, audio consumer, we have Marshawn Lloyd, and then we have Spencer Rattler.
Kyrie Jackson is really interesting.
Is he now? Corner out of Oregon.
Yeah.
What makes him really interesting?
He's a good player, and he was talked about as a possible first-round pick at one point.
So what happened?
I don't know. I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know why his stock fell. Did he not test well? I mean, he's really good in man coverage.
He ran a 4.5. He's 6'4". Oh, is he? What number is he?
Trying to remember. I remember 5.
He might be a step kicker, you know.
I remember him popping when watching UW against Oregon.
Hell yeah, let's do that.
I feel like that's really good value there in the 4th.
Can you imagine having 2 6'4", 32+-inch arm corners?
That'd be pretty interesting.
Let's do it. Oregon do use a bit of step kick. Oh, we could still take Rattler here at pick 118.
I mean, yeah, I would do that. But just for the sake of spicing it up, do we not want to repeat it?
Okay. Well then, you want to take a gamble on Theo Johnson's athletics testing?
Couldn't hurt. Braid is there.
Do you want to sort by position so you can see what options we have?
Sure. Oh, Javon Baker's there.
Whereabouts?
Sort by receiver, see if he's there. No, I'm wrong.
where did you see his?
I think I saw Jalen Coker and thought I saw.
Oh, right, Baker. Okay.
It's all very interesting,
isn't it?
What do you want to
do? This is where I'd take Theo Johnson.
Okay.
Just like if that athleticism doesn't work, then we haven't done a good job on the character analysis. We haven't coached him well. You know?
Yeah.
But there's a reason he's a 4th round pick, right? Despite like running a 4.57 40 at 259 pounds 6'6" and a 39.5-inch vert.
Right.
And his blocking's okay. It's just not a real offense, right? And it's Penn State.
Agreed.
Where I've heard you say it, and I've heard other people say it, but they don't necessarily develop guys as like their football skills. They get them in the scheme, right?
They get them in the scheme, and they just, I mean, they recruit talent and they don't really develop. They expect scheme to
and athleticism
pick
to
up the slack. Yeah,
right.
I mean, because it's true. Guys go through Penn State. They're really highly touted, and then they don't seem to live up to expectations, and they hit the NFL, and they seem to catch up to where they should have been. So
right, and they will test insane.
Right.
And you know they're fairly successful, right?
Mustafa.
We could. How is Bo Braid? Okay, I don't want to be mean. Bo Braid is 115 ranked player per ESPN, whereas Mustafa's 142. Well, we've done Mustafa before. Are there any other names? We've got Maurice Luafu.
I think it's Leo Fau.
Leo Fau, thank you.
Or Liu Fau. Sorry.
Liu Fau. That makes sense.
I mean, I think he's a good player, but they got Gray already. I don't think they double dip, especially if they don't get an extra pick. So I could see them taking Braid, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
He can't move.
Yeah, but you're getting into the whole boundary seam thing again, too. Redundancy. I think Mustafa has the range to play to the field more.
Yeah. Or you could take Isaac Garendo, running back from Louisville, as your guy who can't read the hole but can play your kick returner.
Yeah, we are talking about the 6th round here. I don't know. I mean, if this was real, I would take Mustafa here, but
okay.
Just do Mustafa.
Well, it's real. It's real to me, damn it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Jordan McGee. Take McGee in the 7th.
Yes. Yes. This is the 7th round pick we're rooting for, right?
Yeah.
Like, level of comp's a disaster. Not his fault. But he wears number 6 at Temple, which does mean something. They give it to their best defensive player, grittiest defensive player, the embodiment of defense at Temple. And he can run and hit and cover and move. He just didn't play anyone. So.
Right.
And he's over 230 pounds and tested well. So. Wow. Right. 7th round pick.
Jalen Harrell. edge. Michael Barrett. Fuck, man.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, let's double dip at linebacker.
You mean triple dip?
Wait, who did we take?
Gray?
Oh, see, yeah, I hate that pick. If Cedric Gray is, where did we take him? In the 3rd.
Yeah.
If he's a 3rd round pick and Michael Barrett's a 7th round pick, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
I would take Harrell. I mean, I don't think Barrett will be there. So
yeah, no. But Michael Barrett, really good, taking on contact at the line, like textbook striking, stacking and shedding guys, really solid will coverage traits, and yeah,
he's a good spot dropper.
Yeah, really good spot dropper. So what do you like about Harrell out of Michigan? Well, we've talked about him before we took him last time.
Yeah, he's just got some edge work to him. He just kind of knows what he's doing.
And the Ravens always seem to get that guy who just contributes to the rush rotation, plays specials, and it comes alive for them.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Another guy I would think here, though, is Jordan Jefferson.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, cool. LSU defensive tackle. What do you think of him? What do you like?
Solid early down rotational. Could play 1 technique. Could play 3 technique.
SEC.
Yeah.
Sold.
He popped more than Mason Smith to me when watching Mekhi Wingo.
Nice. Right. So, chat. How would you rate this draft? Wow, it doesn't even fit on the thing. That's good, isn't it? Out of 10, chat. Come on. So we took Graham Barton, Cedric Gray, Kyrie Jackson, Theo Johnson, Malik Mustafa, Jordan McGee, Jordan Jefferson.
If 5 is truly average, I'd give it a 6, maybe 6.5.
I need to watch Cedric Gray again, but no.
All right.
I don't like the idea of that.
So we decided who the Seahawks are going to take.
You can't read it. What's wrong with you? Zoom in, Cam. Can you read it now? Is that okay? You happy? Cam, you're mid. Right, okay. Let's not fall out before the draft.
I did prefer the first draft.
Yes, so did I. I think maybe we got a bit good at the Pro Football Network way of operating, and now the ESPN one we're less good at. Anyway. Right. Well, chat, we'll be live for day 1 of the festivities. Probably day 2 as well. Day 3, maybe not. But we'll have a lot of podcast content. Just pay attention to @SeattleOverload on Twitter. And yeah, if we're not live, then someone will be, but we should be. So we'll see you then. Follow Griff on Twitter @CMikeSpinMove. Follow me @Matty F Brown. Follow the pod, as I said, @Seattle Overload. Please do give us a 5-star review on our podcast app. On your podcast app, it does help, and subscribe to us as well. It's really useful, and also tell a mate about it because it helps to grow the podcast. Again, with over 500 people watching us live, that's very cool. But if we could find a way to convert that into listeners as well, and just continuing to grow, that would be great. Because a lot of you come from Twitter, which is awesome, but then we would like to have a platform on YouTube and other stuff as well. Not that we don't, but anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Right. Griff, any closing wisdom?
Nope,
we did actually get a 1-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Nice.
But it wasn't because of you.
Is that the one where they're like calling us a Pete Carroll apologist or whatever?
No. It wasn't because of you. Apparently, we got 1 star because of you, but as in you were the redeeming feature, making it 1 star.
Oh.
But it was pretty brutal, actually.
That's At least
it was
it
was kind of like an anti-British type thing going on. Yeah. Can you believe it?
I can because you're telling me, but
right.
It's not very nice.
No, it hurt. It hurt.
Don't let them hurt you, Matty.
Anyway. No closing wisdom?
None.
Hey, chat. See you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Have a good
we'll try to be live. We'll see what happens.
We'll do it.